it's you, and welcome back to the One Behind the Lens. I'm Kate DeCoste, and today's episode is one of those conversations that feels like a warm drink in your favorite mug, with a side of honest truth and a couple of laugh out loud moments. I'm sitting down with Rachel Larsen Weaver, photographer, educator, mother of five, and in her own words, most of all, a damn good time. And yes, we get into what that actually looks like in a session, including the tiny, brilliant ways she makes clients feel instantly more human and less transaction. We talk about building a business that's intentionally fat affirming and deeply welcoming, and the not so cute industry advice she got early on that made her double down on doing it differently. We also dig into self love in a way that's practical for photographers. What changes when someone feels safe in their body, how that shifts the images, and how our job is so much more than lighting and posing. And y'all, Rachel's long form sessions are next level. We're talking dinner together, waking up for a slow breakfast, real life adventure, golden hour magic, co creating a best day experience instead of a cookie cutter shot list. It's art, it's connection, it's presence. Okay, guys, so grab your coffee, your water, your yes, I'll take a snack if you offer energy, and let's get into it. So, Rachel, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here, Kate. I do you ever feel like this is a weird thing for me to jump right in with
No,
having doing these where you're like, I wish there was another way to say this normal thing we say at the beginning of every podcast. I'm always
yes,
like, what could I say that's cooler than I'm so glad to
glad to
be here?
have you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I have that, and then at the end, I it's always this weird like, okay, bye-bye. Like
Yeah. So I like can't tell you how much time I've spent like you should really figure out something very
fair.
clever to say, and
Oh,
it's not
yeah, yeah. Well, if
not worked
you
out.
I was gonna say, if you do figure that out, please let me know.
Yeah. Well, this it's as a guest,
Yes.
I can't figure it out for you as the host either, but
Well,
it's
you
just like,
might, you might.
yeah, okay, okay. I'll let you know, Kate.
Well, for listeners that may be new to you, Rachel, can you kind of describe yourself as an artist, educator, photographer, mother of five, and creator of moments? Um, I just would love to hear you kind of just, identify like how all of that shows up in your work, both behind the camera and in the way you teach.
So, it's funny when you hear it, this thing like that's been on my website for so long, and you're like, creator of moments. I mean, like, it feels true, and you're like, what? I might have thought that was even more clever when I wrote it. Maybe it's just good to stick with the like, definitely a mother of five children, can confirm.
Okay.
But like, creator of moments feels more subjective, right? I
Mhm.
am deeply interested though in being in my life, like in what's happening. I want it to feel good. I want it to look good. I want it to taste good. I want it to set like I care about the experience I'm having. So I want to create those in the way that I parent, in the way that I'm a friend. And I hope that that translates into the photography that I make that are very like moment driven, that you feel like you're in the essence, that you're experiencing the essence of this person in their life
Mm.
through this image. Um,
Mhm.
and then the teaching kind of, I hope, organically flows from that because I'm trying to also help other photographers figure out a way to feel fully invested in the way that they make their own pictures, the way that they run their own businesses, that they're figuring out something that feels good, sounds good, feels natural to them, that they can create this business and this work in a way that feels aligned, because we have so many options. And it
Mhm.
can feel like sometimes overwhelming, like which one, but I feel like if we're really paying attention to how we feel about them, then we have a better understanding of our path.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope all of those things are sort of interrelated. Um, in
Yeah.
in daily practice, I joke sometimes that I'm like, I'm not good at boundaries because it all gets so messy and like mixed up into like I'm like, how can I pull apart which part's the art part and which part's the mothering part and which part's the business part and which part's the friend part and
Right, right. Yeah. But they do, they all like
yeah,
intertwine.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Trying to untangle it feels impossible.
You're right.
Yeah,
So, Rachel, your one liner that you had said, like
yeah,
when you fill out,
yeah.
my form, I loved. It's says that you're a photographer and educator, but most of all, a damn good time. What what does that
Self-proclaimed.
actually look? I know. I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. And
yeah.
I love that you actually put most of all a damn and then in parentheses you put or darn.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how we feel about
Yeah, right,
yeah.
right. So, what does that actually look like when someone steps into a session or even a class with you?
I don't know if you are familiar with the Enneagram at all.
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's a personality quiz test sort of thing that I feel like, you know, really hit a moment with millennial women at some,
Okay. Yes.
um, so I am, but a big part of it is like what motivates you as like kind of an understanding of your personality. And I'm an Enneagram 7, which whatever, but it means I am motivated by a good time. I'm trying to
Mm.
like have fun. Pleasure is a motivating factor. I joke a lot. Well, it's not really a joke. I just am a hedonist. Like I just like I and so and I feel like sometimes I also want to take pictures that do feel like kind of rooted in art. And sometimes the art world can feel so serious. And
Mm,
like
mm-hmm.
uh and so trying to realize that pleasure and having a good time, that like that isn't superficial, and that doesn't mean that I'm not concerned with the world and the people in it. Like, but I want people to realize that like we can this can be fun here. We can find joy here.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that like you're the nuances of you and the complexity of you isn't invited into this space. But I also find like knowing a whole person to be really joyful, like and exciting. And that feels like a damn good time to me to get into that. So
Mm,
I want people when they're coming to a class or they're having me take their pictures,
mm-hmm.
like I want them to feel like we got a chance to like truly connect and to tell jokes and to tell secrets and to, you know, I like one of the things I always tell photographers when I'm teaching them, I'm like, if you walk into somebody's house for a session, because I mostly do in-home things, if they offer
Okay.
you something to eat or drink, always say yes. It starts to make it feel less transactional and more like we're in here to connect and relate.
Mm,
And so those are the sorts of things that I'm trying to make it feel like we're friends so that it can feel like a friend is seeing you lovingly and taking pictures of you, not, you know, a third party and a distant objective third party.
right, right. And I love that, you saying like just saying yes to like if they ask you if you do you need a glass of water or whatever,
Yeah.
they say like it's a simple thing to say
Yeah.
like yes to and to start that relationship. But when you were saying that, I was like, I know I have done that where I'm like, nope, I'm good. Like, and usually it's just because I'm like, I was drinking water and usually I always say
Yeah.
this, I'm like, I've been drinking water or coffee the whole way here or something
Yeah.
like that. So I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I do like you just saying, where you're even just that
Yeah.
handing that over.
I
is
think that it
starting
will have
that.
like a small, profound impact. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to impose on them, even if you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I could drink another cup of coffee, but you're like, they're not here to wait on me. And I can but I'm like, but
Right.
there's something about it that I feel like kind of changes the energy to be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we're here for each other. Look, we're going to take care of each other. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And
Right.
maybe it's in my head, but whatever. If it's in your head, it's good
Right,
for
right.
you.
Well, and I guess, because I have a studio and not often, I mean, I have headshots and things like that in the studio. I do, I'm like, I always am offering like water, things like that, or coffee. And then if I have where like seniors or anything, or they're coming to the studio and then we head somewhere else, but I'm always like, do you have to go to the bathroom? Do you need water
Yeah.
for the road? Like,
Yeah.
it's always like that, thing.
It makes you feel cared for. And like,
Mm-hmm.
we want to, feel like as whole people we're being attended to when we're in front of the lens and not just like, you know,
Right, right. Like, oh, I'm paying them to do this job.
yeah.
Yeah, like, but they're actually like, we're having a human connection. Rachel, I really wanted to get into this about your business. Like, you've built a practice that is deeply fat affirming, mindful, and genuine, which to me, like, when I read that, I was like, this is not really like the industry norm.
Standard. I don't think
No,
so. Yeah.
no, not at all. Yeah. And so I was just wondering, was there a moment when you realized you wanted to make this kind of work, or was it something that unfolded slowly over time?
I mean, I think I always knew that it was important to me because I am fat. Like, do you know what I mean? And like I want to affirm myself and to feel like I get to be in these places and people like me and I know what it's like to feel not represented in places. And so
Mm-hmm.
it has always been there. And then I don't know, when I was relatively early in my photography journey, had a I paid somebody for a one-on-one mentorship,
Mm.
and uh, the person told me as soon as we began this in-person one-on-one mentorship, you should never have plus size people on your Instagram or on your um, in your portfolio.
Really?
And it was shocking to me, especially like they
Right.
said it to my face, and I'm like,
Right.
you're looking at me right this second and telling me like people like me don't. Um, and it also felt like way too deep into, I felt like we were like in a body acceptance time period when that happened.
Oh,
Like,
sure,
you know
sure.
what I mean? This wasn't in the
Mm-hmm.
90s. This
Mm-hmm.
was,
Right, right.
you know what I mean? Like, this
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, 7 years ago, not, but anyhow. And to me, and then I like went and was like, oh my gosh, you're right. This person never shows. I mean, this person
Mm.
was showing skinny, skinny, primarily bridal work, whatever. Um,
Okay, okay.
but I was like, whoa. And it just, since then, I feel like I just doubled down on it. That it's like,
Mm.
I want people to know that they can show up in this space as they are. This isn't about trying to, you know, pose you or style you in such a way so that you only appear your skinniest self as though that's the only way that the value happens. Um,
Right, right.
you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
that feels good to me and it feels powerful and I like who it brings into me because it's not because I think creating that space, yeah, it makes fat people feel more comfortable, but it makes lots of people like most of us have body issues in this
Mm-hmm.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
So even people that like might not identify as fat, they feel I think lots of them can feel a sense of this is a judgmental free space. This is a place where like curiosity and compassion are guiding the images rather
Mm-hmm.
than trying to get people to uh like fit into kind of a narrow definition of beauty.
Right, right. Well, and it's also that thing of like, then am I supposed to be should I take family photos? Should I take boudoir photo? Like any of
Yeah.
that, like should I have my photo taken because I'm not what's being shown to me? Like it's just, I mean, it's sad and ridiculous all in this same because we're all different sizes. We're all, it's yeah. It's just I'm so glad that you I love well, I'm glad and I love that you just it's like right there. Like you're just like this is
Important to me. One
mhm
time, because it makes me realize that there are so many larger bodied people that don't feel like they should have their family photos done, or they
mhm
don't feel like they deserve it. One time, I run these uh, in-person workshops where I need model families
mm
for them. And so, sometimes I'll like put it out a model call of some sort and I need people to like fill out this form so that I can figure out what I need, whatever.
mhm
Um and but one of the things about this workshop is I work with just like five photographers, and we talk before the workshop happens to see what their goals are as a photographer. And then I make the sessions directly related to what they specifically want. So like it shifts every
okay.
time what we need. And so anyhow, I had filled out this, I had put out the form. I had lots of people responded. I went to see, all of the Instagrams, kind of get a sense, and not a single larger bodied person applied. And it was interesting to me because because it was important to the photographer that I was working with that she had larger body mothers.
Mm.
And so then I put back out a second one saying specifically, hey, I'm looking for larger bodied mothers for this one. Maybe 25 people had applied the first time, then another 25 people applied the second time. But what was interesting to me is they hadn't applied the first time. Even though these are
Wow.
the same people on my stories, right? The
Mhm
first time until I said, you're invited to this space, they
mhm
didn't
mhm
think to do it. Do you
mhm
know what I mean? Like they
mhm
didn't think that invitation was for them. And so I think it's really important for us to name it if that's important to us.
right, right. And I can see where it's like it's they're thinking when you think model,
Yeah,
you don't like if you're like as I'm a
yeah,
plus size person, like I'm not that's not going to be something that I'm like, "Oh, that's me."
yeah,
But if you put say plus size or
yeah,
full body,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
full figure, whatever the wording you put out,
yeah,
then you might go, "Oh, they're looking for like people like
yeah,
me." And yeah, yeah. Where
yeah. So it was interesting, like
yeah.
because none of the people who applied are models, right? Like,
Right, right.
but that's one of the things we think, well, that definitely excludes me. As soon as you say
Mhm.
model, I feel
Mhm.
excluded if you've grown up in a larger body. And so
Mhm.
in all of those places, I want to feel like it's opened up because like I love Pinterest, but if you put into a Pinterest search engine, mother with children, you think you're going to see any large body moms until you start
No.
saying plus size mother with children. Or do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
never, I mean, and that's true of all sorts of demographics. If you put in
Mhm.
mother with children, it's going to be white moms, they're going to be skinny moms, like, they're going to be
Mhm.
moms kind of in a very average age, and you're and it takes like switching things before you start to open it up. And so,
Mhm.
but I want when people look at my work to feel like, oh, all mothers are welcome here. Like
Mhm.
this is, all bodies, all families, and different, like that they can see enough difference that they also, if their difference isn't covered, they see a space where they could fit though.
Mhm.
Because it's
Mhm.
shown that like, okay, we can handle it. Maybe I've never gotten to photograph somebody who has like very visible disabilities, but I'm hoping that they've seen enough things that they'd be like, I think this lady can handle it. Whereas if
Mhm.
you've only seen a person do, you know, skinny late 20 white women, you'd be like, well, even though I am a skinny late 20 white woman, but with a disability, I don't feel safe. Do you know what I mean? That there's just that
Oh,
way that
sure.
we open it
Mhm.
up, and
Mhm.
it just makes people feel, I don't know, that there's a place at the table. I hope.
Well, and you say that about mothers, and it's always, I always feel like I have, I don't do, I'm more seniors, headshots,
Yeah.
things like that. I do some families, but I
Yeah.
always have like, I'll hear like I'm in a small town and I hear people like say like, yeah, I'm gonna have you do my photos when I lose like, I want to do family pictures or whatever, but I need to lose like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And my first reaction, like I used to be like, okay, whatever. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, you know what? And especially like my mom passed 11 years ago. And my mom hated photos too, but she would take them. I mean, she would hate it if you just like stuck a camera in her face, like she'd
Yeah.
be like, ugh, whatever. But I have photos, I have family photos, I have photos of my mother, and that's all that I have of her now. And it's like, and obviously like memories and things like that. But I don't get to look at her
Yeah.
in real life anymore. And so I am probably morbid by it, but I'm always like, my mom never, maybe she wasn't at, say, the weight she wanted to be. I don't know this, but like
Yeah.
maybe she wasn't at the weight or whatever that she looked like. But as my mom, that's my mom. I
Yeah.
don't care what she weighed. I don't care, what she was wearing. I don't, if her hair wasn't correct
Yeah.
or whatever. Like she was probably thinking when she would make, you know, be like, "Ooh, don't take my photo,"
Yeah.
whatever. So I always tell that to moms like your kids, they they don't
They're not
care
gonna.
what you're thinking. They
And like you
want
might
those.
never lose that 20 pounds. Like uh, it might never happen. So what, you
Right.
never get to own a pic
Have a
like
photo. Yeah.
photo, and
Right.
and either way, then go do the pictures in 20 pounds.
Right.
Like do them
Yes,
now
yes.
and then do them later when you're
Y-
feeling great, if that makes you feel great. But like
right.
this moment matters, and we all know. I mean, it's like such a cliche, right? Whenever we look at pictures of ourselves from 10 years ago, pictures we didn't like of ourselves 10 years ago, we're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think I was beautiful? Like
Yes.
we know it's true. The
Mhm.
picture you take today, in 10 years, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I was so beautiful then.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so, like, fine, don't look at it right now. Don't screw with it. If
Right.
that's triggering you, but like let it exist, because later you is probably going to appreciate it, but your children are definitely
Mhm.
going to appreciate it. I mean,
Mhm.
I but I think that also, like, one of the things that I talk about, and this does feel like it matters for families, but it matters for seniors who are also like in this time where
Mhm.
they're coming into weird relationship with their body,
Mhm.
like I think being a person who is comfortable in my body and being able to see with a loving gaze that has really like learned to see beauty across a lot of differences, I think at its best, and I know it happens with some people. I know it doesn't happen every time, but I know that there are people who feel transformed by the experience. And that's
Mm.
what I really want to happen. That's the
Mhm.
goal every time, to be like, you will feel more beautiful. And then, even if you don't feel great about yourself now, here's an opportunity that maybe you're going to see yourself the way that I saw you. Because, like I said, I'm a hedonist. I like pleasure. I want to be able to define beauty, that I get to see the most beauty in the world. So I've like
Mhm.
worked to see it. So when I see you, I'm I'm there for it, and I feel like I can reflect it back more readily, because I just like it so much, and I want it, and I'm hungry for
Mhm.
it. And so
Mhm. Well, and I feel like as photographers, like when you get someone in front of you, even especially if they are somebody that's like not excited about taking the photos or
yeah,
anything like that, and you can be like, you see the, you see maybe you look at the back of the camera during the session
yeah,
and you're like, holy crap, like you got to look at this,
yeah,
look at you, look how gorgeous you are in this, something like just to
yeah,
give them that, I don't do that for every photo, but like just to give
yeah,
them that, and then they see it and they're like, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh, like I love
yeah,
getting to give that to
yeah.
somebody.
No,
Hmm.
it's can you know I feel like we all have had a bad photo taken of us that has really ruined our day. And
Hmm.
we all have seen a photo of ourselves that we're like, oh, damn, girl's looking pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and so, like, it can feel, it's, it's a neat thing to get to do with people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a neat thing to do for yourself to like the other thing is I feel like so many people they just like they don't even know what they look like. They're not really paying
Mm.
attention to themselves. They only, and so if you're like avoiding it all the time, or the only way that you're allowing yourself to be seen is your own mirror face where you've adjusted yourself just so, or your own
Mm-hmm.
selfie face, which is a similar thing, and you think that's you, you're not knowing the totality of you. That's not how
Mm.
everybody is experiencing you from several
Mm-hmm.
inches high, looking down. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it could be shocking at first to see yourself in a different way. And the more,
Mm-hmm.
though, that you allow yourself to be seen and you see yourself, the more comfortable you get with what that looks like. And I feel like it's a less jarring experience then, that when somebody
Mm.
shows you the picture of you, you're like, yeah, because that's how I look. Because I know
Mm-hmm.
what I look like. Because I've
Mm-hmm.
let myself be in pictures before. And like, yeah,
Sure. Right.
sometimes the angle's really good and sometimes the angle maybe isn't my favorite, but that is just how I exist in the world. And like, I don't deserve to exist in the world.
Right. Right.
Like, like at unflattering angles too.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of this in the past, say, 20 years has come up because of social media. We are looking Pinterest, Instagram, all of that, where we are looking at, say, perfect,
Yeah.
these perfect images. And so we, as a society, I think we look at that, we're like, well, that person is perfect. Like, look at how they look. And then we look at ourselves. And we're like, well, we're not, it's like that whole thing. And I think that's another thing with like photos being having like, say, family photos or
Yeah.
anything like that taken. I also am like, you don't have to put those online. Like, if you get a family
Yeah.
session, you're not obligated. You don't have to share that. So if
Yeah.
you are just like, this is for me, which back, when I was growing up, that's what it
That's
was
all they ever
for.
were. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I
But
just think,
one thing I want to say though, in defense of social media is this. Growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, everybody on every magazine cover, everybody in every catalog, everybody in any TV show, they all looked the same. They didn't look like me.
mm-hmm,
With our social media, we have a choice who we follow. You
mm-hmm,
can create for yourself a world where you are seeing more diversity if you make the really
mm,
concerted effort. And it's one of the things I really encourage photographers, but anybody who like wants to see and experience more beauty and like feel like if everything that's showing up on your feed looks one way, that was to some extent a choice you made. Do you know what I
right.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
we have a responsibility to be like, what if I tried to find an account that was also talking about sourdough making, homesteading, chickens, whatever, but it was a fat lady or a black
Mm-hmm,
lady or a queer woman? Or do you know what I mean? Like that we can
mm-hmm,
switch it up so that we are seeing other things.
mm-hmm,
Um, and like I, my oldest daughter is 20 years old, and like I feel like everybody is really afraid of social media and what it does to kids. But like if I look at her TikTok of who she's following or her Instagram, there's so much like cool, interesting voices that I feel like 20 years ago you didn't get quite the variety of voices.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't maybe know some of these. Like, I love
Yeah.
where you can follow people that they're just normal people and they're
Yeah.
just showing their journey,
With whatever it is,
with
but it's
whatever it
like,
is online, and you get to just be part of it.
yeah, and so for me, that feels like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things like social media. Like this is, I'm not like trying to trick, but I feel like it, I'm always trying to get people, if your feed is making you depressed because they all are like looking the same way, like consciously go out and seek some other
Search
thing.
it. Yes,
Search it,
yes.
look for it. Like what TV shows, I mean, what media can you consume that feels like you are seeing different people um, often doing very similar types of content, but like,
Mm-hmm.
but you could see it presented through somebody who's probably also, because culture can still be a little sick, like probably has a lot fewer followers, a lot fewer eyes because they don't fit that standard. So like,
Mm-hmm.
go give them a follow. Like,
Right. Yeah. 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 Have you ever felt pressure to market differently than what felt true to you? And how did you navigate that?
I think I have been pretty fortunate that I figured out how I wanted to market early on. And I talked about having a bad mentor, but I also had like a really good mentor who I feel like kind of empowered me to feel like just show up as yourself, talk. And I also have, I mean, in my mind, this is an advantage. My background is in English. I was an English teacher for 8 years. I was an English major. I started my MFA in creative writing. So, like the writing and that communication
Mm,
piece, I feel like I know how to write in my own voice pretty
mm-hmm,
easily. And
mm-hmm,
so, um, I I feel like I have figured it out. And I also, again, try to find examples because I feel like we see people marketing and there's lots of stuff where like, ew, no, I don't like that. I don't want that. Rather than dwelling on that, when we go and we find people that we're like, I love the way she's talking to her audience. I love the way that she sold that. That felt good. Or when we pay attention to the things that we actually buy, the ways we've actually been influenced to think like, how did that work and why did that work and how can I do that?
mm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
I one of the things I talk about kind of often is like because I can be a little bit of a jealous person, not so much like in per relationships or but like of other people's creative journey or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but I try to always use that as a way of like pointing me towards what I want. So if I'm kind of jealous of the way they've marketed, maybe that means like I should try that out or
Mm-hmm.
and so I feel like I have I I also have tried to make my marketing feel like an extension of my art. Like I really like to write, so I send a
Mm-hmm.
weekly newsletter out and it is sort of it's not a very long newsletter, but it is about the writing and about the invitation into moments, into loving ourselves, into the things that I'm into and what's tasting good. And do you know what I mean? Like it has all
Right,
of those
right.
things, but I try to use that as a way of like people feeling invited without necessarily feeling sold to. It's like I want it to be enticing.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. No, that
I
makes
mean, that's sort of
sense.
my goal because, I also do these sessions. They're 24 hours long, like a lot of them. So I fly,
Oh,
so I do these things where I like stay. So I need people to like feel comfortable with me and want me in their house. That's not all of my sessions, but uh, that's like what I travel the US for.
okay, okay. Well, and I kind of wanted you to kind of talk about that a little bit and then kind of then I really want to get into your self-love of like
Yeah.
what is your tell me like a little bit of like a day or 24-hour timeline
Yeah.
of, a session with you.
So these sessions, and I call them long form sessions, which are in my mind slightly different from like a day in the life session. I feel like a day in the life session, which was maybe even more popular as a term when I first started, feels kind of like solely documentary and like we're going to get every part of your day captured and reflected back to
Mm,
you. Whereas long form sessions to me, because I don't consider myself a documentary photographer, it's about having, though, this long period of time where we can co-create together. That, like,
mm.
we maybe, so a lot of times I will, like, especially if I'm flying, I'll fly in the night before and to a place and I will like meet up with them or I'll come to their house for dinner, let's say on a Friday night. And we're talking and we're kind of making a plan and I spend the night and I wake up with them on Saturday. And maybe the plan is they really do want to get like their slow breakfast captured. And so we're doing that.
Oh,
And then maybe
okay.
maybe then they're like, well, before we get out of pajamas, we want to go back upstairs and like do kind of cuddly pictures with the kids or whatever because it's good
Mm.
light. So maybe we do that and then we chill out and we're kind of hanging out because the kids are sort of playing and I might snap a picture or two, but this isn't the and like all right, in the afternoon, we're going to go on some kind of adventure. This is their favorite hike. This is their favorite cafe. This is their favorite place to swim. So we like have some plans for the picture, but we also go do the thing together. And they're showing me their favorite thing. This is their best day. And then maybe we come back and they uh, change outfits and they want to do something that's kind of more golden hour or more conceptual. It's almost like rather than it feeling like just we're on and running like this marathon. A lot of times it feels like there's three or four kind of ideas that we're like putting together. And maybe I'm capturing a little bit between, but it's best when it's like, yeah, they want to show how like a candlelit dinner at their house feels, but like I am eating the meal with them. I'm there with them, capturing it as somebody in it, uh,
Mm.
in the
Okay.
experience is the hope. Um, anyhow, but it's fun. Like it means I sometimes joke that I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist, a scam artist, because I get these people to send me all over the country and I get to like go do their very best day with them. They feed me the best food. They take me to their best places. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're so lovingly showing me like, look at this life I made for myself. And I'm like, yeah, this is
Right.
it's I often, I mean, it's work, obviously, but it
Hmm.
also is so delightful. Like the things I've gotten to see, the people I've gotten to meet, the conversations, the like the amount of beauty that has been revealed to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
Scam.
it sounds wonderful. And I
Yeah.
love and I love the concept of it.
Yeah.
Like that it's like maybe they want you to be there for their morning
Yeah.
breakfast or what, that
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's great.
And some people like I've done them. I did one where it was a couple, and we did do some pictures of them as a couple, but mostly this woman drove me all around Utah and she got into different bodies of water in different places and it was like mostly I mean I call them kind of body story sessions like more like boudoir adjacent but this was
Okay.
like a celebration of her in her body in nature and we just like adventured. It felt like I didn't go to art school but what I imagined like an art school project would. Do you know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
so there are different people who want different things from them but oh my gosh it's so fun.
Well, and it sounds like, and then you kind of like tailor what they're looking
Oh
for.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not
Yeah.
like a cookie cutter family session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely no like I don't have a shooting or like guide or you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
have like a
Like a list of
shot
like, these
list.
are the
Yeah.
shots. Yeah.
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 No, it's not.
I, I love that.
Yeah.
So going into your self-love
Yeah.
that I know we wanted to
Yeah.
get into. I want to know, what do you notice about clients who come into a session feeling safe in their bodies versus those who don't? And how does that change the experience?
Damn, Kate.
I
Really good question. Okay, I do have to say, I think generally, well, I think a lot of times people who have hired me have uh like I'm fairly expensive. Um, and so I feel like the majority of people who hire me, they've been following along on my Instagram. They probably read my newsletter. Like there has been, they've been sort of involved in this conversation that I'm having,
mm, mm-hmm,
that they are probably, I feel like most of the people I photograph feel some level of safety in their bodies, or they've
mm-hmm,
really been working towards it. And it tends to be
mm,
people who are like, kind of already in the process that I feel like are more likely to hire me at this stage in the game. When I
mm-hmm,
first started photographing people, like most photographers, I got lots of the like, make me skinnier, make sure there's no double chin,
mm-hmm,
like, can you get rid of
mm-hmm,
the ring? And I would say because people who are hiring me at this point, like, have heard my BS for so long, like they don't really those things, those don't come up in the same way. I think that
Mm,
people they often are trying to feel like brave in their body in the experience. But it's funny, but I can also think back on like what it used to feel like. And I feel like
mm-hmm,
when the people who didn't feel safe in their body, I think what happens when we don't feel safe in our body, we try to keep everything in our head, right?
mm-hmm,
Like the
mm-hmm,
body isn't the safe place. So if I can go into my mind and I feel like it's a little harder to experience a moment when you're living fully in there, right? Because our bodies are how we experience pleasure in the whole world. They're these giant receptors. Like without our body, we don't know what temperature it is. We don't know the humidity in the air. We don't know like all sorts of things. And so if I want people to be in the moment, there is a paying attention that needs to happen that sinks them from their head into their bodies. And I do think when bodies haven't been comfortable for all sorts of reasons, they're staying in their head and it takes a little more directing and there tends to be like more stiffness, right? And like
mm-hmm.
and less I don't feel like they don't feel certain or sure how they're supposed to behave. And so yeah, there tends to be more direction, which isn't to say like I don't mind directing people ever. And that's not, you know what I mean? I hope that nobody
Mm-hmm.
listens and they're like, "Huh, I think I'm safe in my body and I still don't know where to put my hands." Like that's um but that
Mm-hmm.
is a thing that I feel like I notice that they're,
Mm,
it's just a little harder. And sometimes we can kind of work into it and have the conversations. And like I said, I hope that I'm demonstrating what it feels like or what it can look like to
mm-hmm.
be in your body and feel like
Mm-hmm.
okay with it. I've talked before. I am like pretty grateful to be a fat photographer because I think because that is a thing that so many people have had a hard time with
Mm-hmm.
because to see a fat woman be able to be in that place, it while I think it's hard for lots of us to be in our body, regardless of size, when you
Mm-hmm.
see me doing it as a fat person, I feel like it gives you permission, even if you're a small person. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if sometimes I think like if I was like conventionally beautiful and comfortable in my body, people would be like, yeah, well, she's conventionally beautiful. Obviously, she can be. But the truth is, even the conventionally beautiful people sometimes have a really hard time in their bodies. Like,
Yes,
it's a,
yes.
but do you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it makes it an easier conversation to have. And I don't know if I would have access
Right.
to it in the same way if I had a different body.
Right. No, I get that. And like I feel like it could be even like a trust or something too
Yeah.
that people have because they're like, okay, you look like me.
Yeah.
So or, so I know,
Yeah.
or even if maybe if they're like you said, if they are conventional
Yeah.
pretty, they're like, oh,
But
I
they
know
don't
that.
believe they are. Yeah.
Right, right. They don't see, and everybody's that way where we don't see ourselves the way other people see ourselves or
Yeah.
see us. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like as a
Yeah.
photographer, the trust that
It's
people,
huge, isn't it?
it is, and I never, when I became a photographer, didn't think that that was, I didn't know that was going to be a thing, and until then, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I get it. Where even when I'm doing headshots for men and it's a very like simple, really just literally a traditional headshot that they need,
Yeah.
it's they come in and they're like, I'm trusting you to tell me how to look good, like
Yeah.
to do something with this, like and
Yeah.
and even if I am doing the just a traditional headshot,
Yeah.
they always want to know what do you do with your hands.
Yeah. Because, but like one part of us is all part of us, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
our hands are really stiff and awkward, even if they're not in the picture, like
Mm-hmm.
we can tell. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't,
Mm-hmm.
and so whatever we can do to make the body feel more comfortable is also going to make the face feel more comfortable. And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. And I think it's one of those things that we don't think about. Like there's not as much discussion around that. as I think that there should be as
Mm-hmm.
photographers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we actually make people feel comfortable in front of us? Because that takes a lot of work before the cameras come out. And you know, it's gonna matter more than like a a person is going to like a picture even if the lighting isn't perfect, even if the styling isn't perfect, but they feel like natural and beautiful in themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? So many of our favorite pictures of ourselves are like crappy iPhone pictures that your friend took at like this right moment or whatever, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not
Mm-hmm.
perfect, but like when I think about the picture that like I want blown up at my funeral, they're not perfectly composed. You know what I mean? But they're ones
Right.
that I feel the most myself in. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm trying to get people to show me their most true self.
So are you doing like I'm guessing you
Yeah.
are like or I don't know that I shouldn't guess
Yeah.
posing and not like are you kind of like because I kind of
I
love doing
switch
like
between.
the in between like moments and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people I come into such sessions and there it leans way more documentary that they're like, I just want
Mm.
to do these things. That's going to make me uncomfortable. Just like, let's go. And there are
Mm-hmm.
some people who it leans way more posed. And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
trying, you know what I mean? I feel like
It just depends on the
person.
person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of what I think we like started the conversation with, which is just that like there are options and like,
Mm-hmm.
and I would rather the way that I work feel like it's in communication with the person in front of me. Like that dance feels good to
Mm-hmm.
me. And I hope that I've showed a portfolio that kind of feels reflective of that. If you
Mm.
don't ever want to post somebody, you just make sure that you are only showing super documentary photos so that people know that if you
Mm-hmm.
want to get in there and like tell them exactly where to point their chin and how to give themselves goddess hands or whatever, then you
Mm-hmm.
make
Mm-hmm.
sure that that's what you're showing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
it is that thing of like show what you want to shoot. Like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and how you want to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a whole lot in it and we all do it. It's one of the things that I like about working with so many photographers. It's just like you see this huge scope of different like talents and skills. Like there are the people who know how to set themselves up to anticipate where the action is going to go, even if they, you know what I mean? Or there's other
Mm.
people that are so clear in how they direct, and there are some people who really make people feel at ease, and there's other people who have like these amazing concepts that are, do you know what I mean? And like there's room
Right.
for all of us, and there's a
Yeah.
client for all of us, but
Mm-hmm.
like lean heavy into whatever that thing is that's yours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What would you say, and I'm guessing you would when you would do your classes and things like that,
Yeah.
but what would you say to photographers who want to create more of an affirming work but don't know like where to start?
Um, and I know how that can be hard because one of the things that's hard, right, is it's hard to invite people in to do the thing when you haven't already
Mm-hmm.
shown that you can do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I think having a diverse portfolio is really important. If you want affirming work, you need to push the limits of that. So
Mm-hmm.
if there are people in your life that you feel like help add to that diversity, maybe because they're older, they're younger, they're thinner, they're thicker, they're, different ethnicities, like, are there people that you know in your real life that you find intriguing that you can ask to photograph? Like, that's one potential possibility. You can put
Mm-hmm.
it out, you can do model calls, which sometimes make me a little nervous because I don't love, I mean, I know I mentioned doing model calls before. Sometimes I don't love doing them because it always makes me feel bad for the people I didn't pick and like how it works. I tend to like sort of approaching people who have already acted interested in my work in some way, to be like, oh, would you be interested in modeling for me? The
Mm-hmm.
other thing
Mm-hmm.
is, self-portraits are huge. If you are showing yourself, what that shows is that like you've gone first and you've shown
Mm-hmm.
some level of vulnerability that I
Mm-hmm.
think lets people feel like, oh, okay, if Kate can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so those all feel like important places to start.
Yeah, and you saying that the self-portrait, like that is like, that I feel like that not it's not a new thing, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's something that's been I've seen more and more of
Yeah.
lately.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I realized at other points was like, because I've had like a self-portrait practice for a long time, but it was like, if I, when I first started, I felt like it was hard to get bigger bodied people to want to take pictures. And so then
Mm-hmm.
there were no bigger bodied people on my, so I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
if I show myself, that's a way of getting one on there that I have access to.
Right.
It, but even,
Yeah.
um, but, uh, but even if that's like, even if you aren't that,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes them, they feel like they know you before
Mm-hmm.
something when they have seen you. And that is
Mm-hmm.
going to make it a lot faster to get comfortable in a session. Even if you don't know the client, if the client has some sense of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you've like, you've softened the introduction in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you can get into things a little deeper, a little faster. I don't
Right.
know. That feels
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, and I feel like even if it's not even a self-portrait, but just having, we do,
Yeah.
I mean, using social media and your website, all of that, I feel like is a great way not just to show your work, but to show who you are. Because yes, people are hiring you for your work, but they're also hiring to they are hiring you and they want to know who you are first. And they
Yeah.
want to know, like, am I gonna like this person? Am I gonna feel, do I think I'm gonna feel uncomfortable, uncomfortable or comfortable
Yeah.
with somebody? So I do think showing yourself, which I know a lot of
Yeah.
photographers have a hard time with that, but
It's one of those things I think though, it's almost like I know that there's a part of people that they want to, it's relatable to be the number of photographers that I'll see in their bio. They're like way more comfortable behind the lens or whatever, things
right,
like that.
right.
And I get it because, but in a certain way, I feel like I want to show people that it's okay to be comfortable in front of the lens because I actually think most of us, again, women growing up in this culture, we felt like, oh, I don't want to be too much. That's a little embarrassing to like want to have my like, that we have like hang-ups over the too
Mm-hmm.
muchness of it. The, oh, is this making me seem like I'm a show off or do you know what I mean? Like we
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
complicated things and I don't want that to feel like the conversation. I want the conversation to be like, you know what, you're allowed to do this for yourself.
Right.
Like, there's no shame in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I don't know. Like I said, I want that. That's the conversation I'm trying to encourage and not give people almost that like that safe place where they could be like, oh yeah, 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 I'm more comfortable behind the screen too, or behind the lens too,
Right. Mm-hmm.
because chances are they are taking a lot of pictures of their kids, right? In this day and age,
Mm-hmm.
most people are taking pictures of their children. They're
Mm-hmm.
hiring a family photographer because they want a picture of themselves, whether or not
Mm-hmm.
they admit it to themselves.
Right, right, right. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about it a little bit before, but you do workshops that with writing classes,
Oh
correct?
yeah. Yep. So as I said, I am, writing was my first creative love. And so every March I run the words workshop, which is a
Mm,
writing class and I mean, it isn't specifically for like your marketing, though I feel like some people sign up because they want to practice with words and play and figure out
mm-hmm,
how to tell their own story and how to talk in a way that feels more comfortable and that practice is useful. But,
mm-hmm,
just as I see photography and writing as having similar goals in my life, like both of them help me pay attention. They help me
mm-hmm.
notice. And so I I like them as two practices that serve similar goals, but sometimes photography feels like it's easier in some stages of life to have access to, and sometimes the writing, and I like having both of them as tools to do it. So it's and this will be my fourth or fifth year running that class in March. So it's
And
like,
is that something that people do online? Like, can
yep,
they
it's
join online?
yes. So it's we do it's like two Zoom calls, um live Zoom calls every week for the month, and then you get daily writing prompts to your email, and then there's a Facebook group. It's like the only reason I still am on Facebook is for the groups when I do those things.
Yes, yes.
Um, which isn't like a necessary part because some people are like, I'm just not gonna. But then there's even more writing and sharing and with each other in
Oh, sure.
their
More of like a little community.
community. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
it's fun. There's some people who, do it every year and then you know what I mean? It's like kind of neat to see like relationships develop with some of the people who keep coming back every March. And
Yeah.
and there's something about, I don't know, I really like that it always covers the equinox and like the changing of the season. And I feel like as we get out of our kind of in the northern hemisphere, our
hmm
wintry feel and like you're getting that creative renewal, March feels like a good time for it.
That is, yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah, like I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, March is like that is a good time for that.
Because sometimes I'm like really itching to like get into my creative self, but it can kind of still be gray and dreary. And you're like,
hmm
I want to be creating, but it's not really optimal picture time yet.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. And then do you do workshops then for photographers?
I do everything. I
You
get
do?
like
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah. I love it.
uh I do an online workshop,
Okay.
which is for photographers. It's sort of in a similar format to that. And then I do in-person workshops 2 or 3 times a
Okay.
year.
I love
Which,
it.
yeah, you know, each one has like the online workshop I love because it does a lot of the same work as the smaller
hmm
in-person workshop, but I like that it's like A, it's more accessible financially, B, it's more accessible because you can be anywhere and do it. And I like that it's a larger group, so you form some community.
hmm
Whereas these smaller workshops that I call the 4x4, because they're 4 months long, where uh you have one-on-one phone calls and like the small group phone calls, and then there's a workshop in the middle of it. Um,
Okay. Okay.
I like those because you get to be really personal and one-on-one, and they all have ongoing Voxer support with me. So there's like you know what I mean? I
Mm.
just I like seeing the different ways that people want to create and what they need for their creative journey. And then I feel like they all kind of like bubble up where I'll see like, oh, this seems like this, like the need is here. And so what if I create towards that or this?
hmm If people are interested in either like the writing or
Yeah,
photography workshops, is that all on your website?
it's all on the website. There's
Okay.
like when you're on the main page, you'll see like a session offering section and an education offering section and so section. And
Perfect.
so it talks about all of the different stuff I've got going on. And you can
Perfect.
sign up for like some of the things aren't like open and registering, but you can sign up for lists where then you'll get those specific emails.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because then I'll just put that in the show notes and then people
Yeah.
can get on to that. So I do a segment that's kind of like a rapid fire
Ooh,
question. So just kind of like
exciting.
I
All
know
right.
I'm like you're excited because some people are like, "What?"
Yeah.
Writing or photographing, which feels more like home?
Writing.
A creative practice you'll never give up.
Writing.
Most underrated skill for photographers today.
Ooh, squats.
Oh, that's a good one. And then if your creative style were a movie genre, what would it be?
I always joke that my favorite movies have like almost no plot. It's just like so slow and it's all like character development and setting with nothing. Uh, so like it would be a very slow indie film that lots of people found was kind of boring, but it was really beautiful, I hope. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you're like, they didn't really do much, did they? You're like, nope.
Yeah, like at the end, like
Yeah.
you're like, what was that
What?
story?
Uh-huh.
But it was beautifully shot, or it
Shot and
was
yeah.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
like felt like you kind of knew the character, but you're like, I don't I mean, an example of that was kind of big this year, um, train train dreams. Anyhow, I'm trying it wasn't
Sure.
quite, yeah. But it was just like a guy's life in like the Pacific Northwest, and you're like, nothing really happened, but it was
Oh,
pretty.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
But it was pretty.
yeah.
Now I have another segment that I do that is called the photo confession booth. And it's basically like I just have you step into the photo confession booth and just tell me like a hilarious, awkward, unexpected moment from a session. And it could be like, it could even be before,
Yeah.
during, after. Anything that you'd like to confess?
Oh. Um, I am I shoot exclusively on film. I don't know if
Mm.
I'm at, and one time I had I, I had a puppy and it ate one of the rolls of film for a session, and that I mean, I
Oh.
usually like shoot more than I need to, and so like it worked out, but I definitely didn't tell them like, oh yeah, one of your rolls, dog ate my homework.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's one of the times where like I felt like the most like sick, where you're
Mm.
like, what if everything I needed was on that one?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh. I love that it's like the dog ate your homework, but I also am thinking like I need to have you back on and talk about film, like
Oh,
shooting
yeah,
exclusively on film. And because I know that there are photographers who do like kind of the hybrid of
yeah,
film and digital. Um, but yeah, I would love to,
yeah. You
because
live in a constant state of fear.
yeah,
If I'm not an anxious person, but then I was like, you know what? What if I shot film so I could just become more anxious? Like, like what if I just like introduced anxiety to my life to be like,
right,
what if the it gets lost in the mail? What if something
right.
like there's whatever, so many things that could go
Mm-hmm.
wrong.
Mm-hmm. Did you start out with
I
just
started off digital and then I
okay,
switched to, I mean, I
okay.
started off in film, like, in
Oh, sure.
college and but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like as a professional, it was digital probably for the first like 4 or 5 years. And then for the last 5 or 6 years, it's been exclusively film.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet that's something too. People really love that.
Yeah. It's, the people who it's for. And,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's when I like marketing. I'm like, you just go find the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are into it.
Rachel, where can everyone find you?
I mean, I'm in a lot of places, but RachelLarsenWeaver.com is my website and it will show you all of the offerings. You can also sign up for my newsletter. I send a newsletter every Monday night. Um, and that keeps you posted. And I am a uh fairly active Instagram user at
Mm.
Rachel.Larsen.Weaver.
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for being on the
Hey, this
podcast.
was so fun. Thank you so much.
Yes, this was a great conversation.
I know. I could talk to you forever. So yeah, anytime you want me back, we could talk film. Well,
Yeah, I would
all
love
right.
that. I would
Yeah.
love that. Thank you
Well,
again.
thanks.
All right, Shutter Squad. That was Rachel Larsen Weaver, and I told you a damn good time. If this episode hit you in the heart or made you rethink the way you show up behind the camera, do me a quick favor. Share it with a photographer friend who needs that reminder that comfort matters, connection matters, and your clients deserve to see themselves with a loving gaze. And listen, we may need a part two because when someone casually drops that they shoot exclusively on film and then tells the puppy ate my homework story involving a roll of client film, I'm like, okay, we're absolutely coming back to talk film, fear, and why the people who are into it are really into it. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. And if you have 30 seconds, leave a quick review that helps other listeners find the show. Until next time, keep creating, keep noticing, and go make something that feels like you. I will see you next time right here on The One Behind the Lens.